some people here in Latin America, most of them atheists, they say that the New Testament or the Gospels doesn't work as a historical document. So the question is, can we trust the Gospel or the New Testament as a historical document?
I think we can, Andrew. I've written an article. Anybody can access it on my website, risenjesus.com. Go to the section titled blog, and it's probably, I don't know, 2, 3, or 4 down. And there I compare the Gospel of Mark with Suetonius's life of Caesar Augustus. Now, Suetonius he wrote in the early part of the 2nd century, and it's considered or regarded that he wrote closer to modern biographers than any other ancient biographer. And he wrote 12 biographies of the Caesars. That's what he's best known for. And the first 3, his biography of Caesar, his biography of Augustus, his biography of Tiberius, these are the 3 that are considered the finest of the 12. And even of those 3, the one of Augustus is considered his finest one, based on good sources, etc. So what I did was I lay out 4 criteria for assessing it for its historical reliability. That would be, do we have good reasons to think that Suetonius used good judgment in his choice of sources? Second, do we think he used good judgment in his use of those sources? Did he use them responsibly? Third, can we verify a number of items reported? And number 4, we would want it so that no more than a very small percentage of items have a reasonable chance of being false. Now, remember, we're just talking about this about historical reliability in general for ancient literature. We're not talking about whether something's divinely inspired or without error. So I compare Suetonius's life of Augustus with the Gospel of Mark. The Gospel of Mark comes out very well. In fact, just as well, perhaps even slightly better than Suetonius's life of Augustus. So, there are good reasons to think that the Gospel of Mark is reliable, historically reliable, and because John, there's good reasons to think it's based on eyewitness testimony. It seems likely that that is historically reliable. Matthew and Luke are using Mark as their primary source, and where they do this, we can compare how Matthew and Luke use Mark, and we see that they stick closer to their source, Mark, when they use him, than other ancient historians stick to their sources. And so this gives us confidence that Matthew and Luke are doing well with their sources where we can't test them. So, I could go on and on where we have good reasons to think that the Gospels are rooted in eyewitness testimony, every one of them, that even if they're not written by eyewitnesses, they are rooted in eyewitness testimony, and we can confirm a number of items in them. So, it's a complex topic. It takes a lot to, we could go down a bunch of different trails with this in terms of authorship and the fact that it's claimed that their authors were biased, and we can talk about contradictions, etc. But yeah, I think there's good reasons to think the Gospels are historically reliable.
I would like to mention something about it. I have heard from William Lane Craig that the Gospels have the same literary genre as the book of Plutarch, which tells of the life of the Greeks and the Romans. Is that true? Because I asked a liberal theologian the same question, and he told me that is incorrect. That is not true. So, what do you think?
No, it is correct. Most New Testament scholars today, regardless of their theological backgrounds, whether they're liberal, moderate, conservative, agnostic, atheist, most New Testament scholars today, by far most, think that the Gospels are either Greco-Roman biographies or that they share they're closely associated with Greco-Roman biography. Plutarch's lives, Plutarch wrote over 60. Plutarch is considered by many classicists to be the greatest of all ancient biographers. He wrote over 60 biographies, of which 48 have survived. And you're right, it's about the Greeks and the Romans mainly. So they are Greco-Roman biographies. So are Suetonius's Lives of the Divine Caesars, those 12, and the Gospel, and so is Philo's Life of Moses. Even though Philo is a Jew, he's a Hellenistic Jew, and he writes 3 biographies: his life of Philo's Life of Moses, his life of Abraham, and life of Joseph. And his life of Philo is much different than his life of Moses and Joseph. Lives of Joseph and Moses are, life of Joseph and Abraham are very different, but his life of Moses is very much like the Gospels and like Plutarch's lives. They bear so many qualities of it. So the person, your professor you're talking about, that person would go against the large majority of today's New Testament scholars. So yeah, the Gospels do share much in common with Greco-Roman biography.